In a league full of unique and intriguing young talent, Paolo Banchero stands out among his peers for me. Mainly because even compared to other unique future stars, Paolo stands out as even more unique than that. What makes him so unique even among unique players is the fact that we really haven't seen a player like this before. We really haven't seen someone in the last 10 years enter the league with this combination of physical intangibles and upside as a skill player, which makes Paolo a player that is very fun to project long term. And in this video, I'll be giving you guys my projections for what I believe Paolo Banchero can be as an NBA player long term. But quickly before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways can help me on the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Anyways, let's talk about Paolo Banchero. Paolo is someone who entered the NBA with a monster scoring profile, and he's taken a leap in year 2. His production has gone up, and his efficiency has seen an increase as well. Now, I wouldn't say he's a finished product as a scorer either. It's only year 2, and when you look at the numbers, there's a ton of room for growth. He's shooting 60.7% at the rim on 6.2 attempts per game. According to Clean the Glass, he's shooting 38% on 4.9 short mid-range attempts per game, which resides between 4 feet and just within 14 feet, and 42% on 3.2 long mid-range attempts per game, which resides between 14 feet and just within the 3-point line, as well as 36.6% on 4.2 3-point attempts per game. These are far from what I would call super efficient scoring numbers. However, I would also describe them as very promising numbers for a year 2 player, especially one with the responsibility of Paolo Banchero. He has a 29.6 usage rate, which ranks top 20 in the NBA, which is higher than Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Nikola Jokic. He's also the second youngest player in the top 20 for usage rate, behind only Victor Wembanyama, while also being the only player from his draft class that is top 20 in usage. In fact, there's a 41 player gap between himself and the next highest from his draft class, which is Jaden Ivey in that regard. He also only has 41.6% of his production assisted on, which puts him in the 6th percentile. For context, that's similar to guys like Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, and Devin Booker. So that's the kind of responsibility he has as a second-year player. I don't expect a second-year player to be uber efficient with this kind of responsibility. On top of that, I also think his efficiency numbers are promising given that context. He still has room to grow, which is something that's also true with the tape. And when it comes to the tape, while it needs work, it's also absolutely promising the same way I view the numbers. Because Paolo is an absolute mismatch. He's 6'10", 250 pounds with freakish athleticism and movement skills. He's quick and explosive attacking the basket. He's super strong and physical. And he has guard wing-like movement skills in terms of lateral movement, body control, and flexibility. Add the fact that he has a legit handle that allows him to create offense consistently at a high level, instinctual shot creation intangibles in terms of moves and counters, a threat to score on all 3 levels of the court, and you see the upside to be an absolute monster scorer. Someone that can get any shot he wants whenever he wants. He can get to his spots at will, get to the line at will, overpower those who might be able to match his athleticism and skill, outmaneuver those who might be able to match his physicality and strength. He's proven to be an all-star level scorer right now, and he's far from a finished product. He has room to grow into one of the best scorers in the NBA. My projection for Paolo Banchero's prime as a scorer is 29.3 points per game, with a peak at 32.8 points per game. Now, in terms of rebounding, Paolo is interesting because given his physical and athletic tools, I feel like he should be a better rebounder than he actually is. Now, he's not awful. Near 7 per game isn't terrible by any means, but I do think at 6'10", who probably is actually closer to 6'11", 250-pound freak athlete, would show a bit more on the boards than he has. However, I don't think it takes away from his absurd offensive profile overall. Just because he isn't someone that I think projects to be an elite rebounder, I think he will be a good enough rebounder. In fact, I think he will be a major threat on grab and goes because of his handle, because of his creation and playmaking tools, and someone that can just be a monster in transition. I don't think Paolo will ever be like Giannis as a rebounder. It is possible. I wouldn't rule it out just because of the physical tools, but I do think it's more realistic that he's like LeBron as a rebounder, where he will have crazy rebounding games, but double digits isn't an expectation. I think Paolo will be a good enough rebounder to the point he's someone you have to worry about, but not someone that will ever be among the best in the NBA. My projection for Paolo Banchero's prime as a rebounder is 7.6 per game with a peak at 8.2 per game. Now, while the scoring profile with Paolo is absurd, he also has a ton of upside as a playmaker. He has a handle that allows him to take on primary reps. He has great vision. He reads the floor incredibly well. His feel for the game is beyond his years. He has real creativity as a manipulator. You just don't find guys that are this big that have these type of playmaking tools. And he's growing in terms of understanding his scoring gravity, which is very promising. The next step for him, in my opinion, is learning the balance between facilitating and taking over the game as a scorer, which is something that's very common for young players with this kind of usage and also handle playmaking reps like this. But I think once he figures it out, he will be one of the better playmakers in the NBA, a guy who has the scoring gravity to consistently create advantages for others. I think if utilized properly, Paolo could put up big assist numbers, and I think the Magic are making it a priority to make him a big playmaker for this team with the reps he gets. My projection for Paolo Banchero's prime as a playmaker is 6.6 assists per game with a peak at 7.8 per game. So here's my projection for Paolo Banchero overall. In its prime, I think he will average 29.3 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game, and 6.6 assists per game. At his peak, I think he will average 32.8 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game, and 7.8 assists per game. Like I mentioned in the videos I did about Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama for this series, I don't think that it's necessarily a case of he'll put up those numbers at his peak all in one season. They can't be spread out. It's more of a career high projection, and it could be in any season with any combination of other numbers. If Paolo reaches his best possible outcome, I think he's going to be one of the 3 to 5, maybe 6 best players in the world. And while that's a lot, a guy who's putting up all-star numbers in just his second season with these kind of tools is going to get an upside projection like this. He's already very hard to stop. He's already a problem for NBA defenses. And it's only year 2. He still has so much room to grow and develop. If 23-7-5 on 46-37-71 splits while leading a team that's 6 games above 500 in just the second NBA season is what quote-unquote just scratching the surface is, I can only imagine what his prime is going to be. In a way, even though I gave projections, it's hard to set a ceiling on a player like this, the same way it's hard to do with Victor Wembanyama, because you really can't set a ceiling on a player who has these kind of traits. Being this physically developed and athletic at this young of an age. Being this advanced skill and feel wise at just 21 years old. It's rare to have what Paolo does in every sense of being a basketball player. It's rare to be 6'10", 250, let alone 6'10", 250 with the athleticism he has, the feel for the game he has, his ability to move the way he does. I think Paolo has all the tools in the world to be in the scoring title hunt every year of his prime. I think he will be a legit MVP caliber player, and I don't say that lightly. It's not easy to be a superstar, but Paolo has all the tools to be it. He has too many things I can look at and say, can't teach this, can't teach that, for me to not believe that he could be this good. Now, it's no guarantee that he becomes a future MVP caliber player. It's no guarantee that he reaches those level of heights. Those are still very high expectations for anyone to reach. Only time will tell. But based off what we've seen so far, I think it's easy to at least consider this idea of him potentially being that good, because the floor has been set. The floor for him is being an all-star, because that's what he proved in just his second NBA season. And if the floor is what he's doing right now at 21 years old, the ceiling is through the roof, to the point where, again, it's hard to set his ceiling. He's already somebody that I think is one of the hardest players to guard in the entire NBA, and he's just scratching the surface. I have no doubt that Paolo Banchero will be a great NBA player. I was confident in his chances to reach stardom since he was in high school. He was just different at every level. He moved different than his peers. He was just bigger than his peers. And his game is translated from high school to college, and it's translated from college to the NBA in a way that even I didn't see coming. And he's even better than I thought he would be through 2 NBA seasons, and I was extremely high on him for years prior to the NBA. The question now isn't, again, how good can he be? The question is, how great can he be? And I can't wait to find out the answer to that question over the years to come. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, notify whenever I release a video. I make videos for basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the 2 best ways can help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Let me know what you think about Paolo Banchero. How good do you think he's going to be? Do you think he has a superstar ceiling? Do you think it might be lower? What are your thoughts after all that down below? Again, sorry for the lack of uploads recently. I hit a wall. I needed to take a break. Yeah, in my break, I actually made a Ruby video essay. So if you want to check that out, I'll link that in the description below and the pinned comment. But with that being said, have a nice day. I'll see you guys in the next one.